Mara Vega knew she was not alone. The moment the birds stopped flying, they had been circling the flooded remains of the city for weeks, silent, wide-winged creatures adapted to the new air. But that morning they froze mid-glide, suspended as if the sky itself had hesitated. The light shifted, not dramatically, just enough. Mara stood atop a collapsed sky bridge, vines coiling through broken railings, her boots slick with moss. She closed her eyes and breathed slowly, letting the sensation settle into her bones. It wasn't fear. It was recognition. Someone had jumped. The world answered jumpers whether it wanted to or not. Time-flexed matter remembered, and Mara had learned, painfully, that if you listened closely enough, reality whispered back. She reached into her coat and pulled free a small metal shard, warm to the touch, a relic from the first jump they'd ever made together. Elias had laughed when it survived the transit. Jax had called it lucky junk. Mara had kept it because it felt wrong to let go. The shard vibrated once. "Okay," she murmured. "I hear you." She moved fast then, descending into the green, swallowed city. She passed a rusted transit hub where the glass had collapsed inward, trees growing through ticket kiosks, and there, etched into a concrete wall, half hidden by ivy, was the mark. 3 angled lines, intersecting at the center. The tri-signal. Mara pressed her palm against it, heart hammering. The mark was fresh, fresh enough to mean intention, fresh enough to mean survival. She smiled for the first time in months.
Elias Corr did not smile. He stood inside a cathedral of glass and light. 40 stories above a city that never slept, data streamed across his vision in translucent layers. Traffic flows, biometric scans, predictive crowd behavior. The system hummed contentedly, unaware it was being lied to. Elias had learned quickly. This universe did not tolerate anomalies. It cataloged them. He flexed his fingers, watching the numbers adjust. Somewhere deep in the city's infrastructure, he had embedded a pattern, a rhythmic flicker in the lightning grid, subtle enough to escape correction algorithms. 3 pulses, pause. 3 pulses, pause. He hated how clever it felt. The tri-signal wasn't meant for machines, it was meant for people who remembered what coincidence used to feel like. A soft alert chimed. Probability spike detected. Elias's breath caught. He turned toward the window, watching the city lights ripple as if disturbed by an invisible stone dropped into the night. "Mara," he said quietly, not a question. A calculation. He began preparing the jump, already knowing the cost. This system learned if it followed him once, it would follow him forever. He jumped anyway. Jack's Rourke landed badly. Gravity snapped sideways the instant his boots hit the rock, throwing him into a roll that ended inches from open sky. He laughed breathlessly, adrenaline buzzing, and pushed himself upright as lightning tore the clouds apart above him. "Still got it," he muttered. The fractured sky never stayed still long enough to get comfortable. Islands drifted like lazy predators. Cables snapped and reattached themselves. Time hiccuped. It was the kind of place that rewarded bad decisions. Until it didn't. Jax wiped rain from his eyes and froze. Someone had carved into the floating stone ahead of him. Clean lines, deliberate angles. The tri-signal. For a long moment, Jax didn't move. He hadn't allowed himself hope since the separation. Hope made you sloppy. Hope got you erased. But this was real. About damn time, he whispered. He triggered a micro-jump, blinking forward in a stutter of light. The air tore, the world screamed. He grinned through the pain and carved the symbol deeper, brighter, letting the fracture ripple outward. If Elias was watching data streams, he'd see the spike. If Mara was listening, she'd feel it in her chest. Jax jumped again. They converged where none of their worlds belonged. The space between universes was not empty. It was crowded with echoes, half-formed landscapes bleeding into one another. Green vines curled through neon light. Floating stone drifted past, shattered glass. Thunder rolled without sound. Mara arrived first, steadying herself as the ground formed reluctantly beneath her feet. She turned as a figure emerged from a cascade of holographic noise. Elias looked thinner, sharper, his eyes flicked over her, already checking for inconsistencies. "You're real," he said. She stepped forward and hugged him before he could retreat into logic. He stiffened, then exhaled, resting his forehead briefly against hers. "I was right," he murmured. "You anchored the signal." "Of course I did," she said. "You overthink everything." A laugh echoed across the void. Jax dropped out of the air like he'd been thrown by the universe itself. Boots skidding, grin wild, "Miss me?" Mara laughed, a real laugh, bright and unguarded, and Elias shook his head despite himself. "You're impossible," Elias said. "Statistically," Jax replied, "I'm impressive." They stood there together, three silhouettes against a fractured infinity balance-controlled chaos. For a moment, the universes held their breath.